This message is on don't let anybody rob you of your blessing. John chapter 5, starting at verse 1. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain season into the pool, and troubled the water. Then first after the troubling of the water, stepped in, was made whole, whatever disease he had. And a certain man was there, which had an infirmity 38 years. When Jesus saw him lie, and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he said to him, Wilt thou be made whole? The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man when the water is troubled to put me into the pool. But while I am coming, another steppeth down before me. Notice, he had been waiting there for 38 years for somebody to put him in the pool. And by the time he got down there, somebody else was a step ahead of him. Jesus said unto him, Rise, take up thy bed and walk. Notice what Jesus told him there. Take up his bed and walk. And immediately the man was made whole and took up his bed and walked. On the same day was the Sabbath. The Jews therefore said unto him, That was cured. It is the Sabbath day. It is not lawful for thee to carry thy bed. All right, Jesus done told him to take up his bed. Now they're telling him not to. He answered them, He that made me whole, the same said unto me, Then asked they him, What man is that which says unto thee, Take up thy bed and walk? And he that was healed wist not who it was, for Jesus had conveyed himself away, a multitude being in that place. Okay, they started saying, you can't take up your bed and walk on the Sabbath. Even though Jesus told him to take up his bed. These were a group of people that were known as the Pharisees. We see a lot of these people today. God will move for somebody, and these people, if you let them, they'll keep you bound. And that's what would have happened here if he had listened to them instead of Jesus. It actually spoke to the Pharisees in Matthew chapter 23. starting at verse 1. Then spoke Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe and do, but do not ye after their works, for they say and do not. For they bind heavy burdens. This is exactly what happened here in that verse I just read. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their circulatrius and enlarge the boundaries of their garments, and love the uppermost rooms at feast, and the chief seats in the synagogue, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. But be ye not called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ, and all ye are brethren. And call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. Neither be ye called master, for one is your master, even Christ. There are many today that make titles for themselves. They'll call themselves doctor or prophet. Prophet, that's one that's really big. And you see them, when they say that, a lot of times they're saying it to exalt themselves above anybody else. So I'm leery of anybody that calls himself a prophet. Where was I? But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. Okay. First King, Second Kings. Well, I can get to it. Second Kings chapter 5. Now Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master and honorable, because by him the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria. He was also a mighty man of valor, but he was a leper. And the Syrians had gone out by companies and had brought away captive out of the land of Israel a little maid, and she waited on Naaman's wife. And she said unto her mistress, would God, my Lord, were with the prophet, that is in Samaria, for he would recover him of his leprosy. And one went in and told his Lord, saying, Thus and thus shall the maid that is of the land of Israel. And the king of Syria said, Go, and I will send a letter unto the king of Israel. And he departed and took him 10 talents of silver, and 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of the remnant. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, saying, Now when this letter is come unto thee, behold, I have therewith sent Naaman my servant to thee, that thou mayest recover him of his leprosy. And it came to pass, when the king of Israel had read the letter, that he rent his clothes and said, Am I God to kill and to make alive, that this man does send unto me to recover a man of his leprosy? Wherefore consider, I pray you, and see how he seeketh a quarrel against me. And it was so, when Elisha, the man of God, had heard that the king of Israel had rent his clothes, that he sent to the king, saying, Wherefore hast thou rent thy clothes? Let him come now to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman came with his horses and with his chariots, and stood at the door of the house of Elisha. And Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thou shalt come again thee, and thou shalt be clean. But Naaman was wroth, and went away, and said, Behold, I thought he will surely come out to me, and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, and strike his hand over the place, and recover the leper. Are not Abana and Pharpar rivers of Damascus better than all the waters of Israel? Notice what he's doing here. He gets mad because he's told to wash in the river of Jordan. By the way, this is the same river that Jesus would later be baptized in. But Naaman had let pride set in and did not want to go to the river of Jordan. That's like Jesus. He was baptized by water, even though he had no sins. But many today say baptism is not important. Well, I put it this way. If Jesus done it, everybody should. I didn't finish that verse. May I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in a rage. And his servants came near and spoke unto him, and said, My father, if the prophet had bid thee do some great thing, wouldst thou not have done it? Now much rather then when he says to thee, wash and be clean, then went he down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan. And according to the saying of the man of God, and his flesh came again like unto the flesh of a little child. The flesh of a little child. First time I noticed that one. So not only did he get healed, it was like the flesh of a little child. And he was clean. Colossians two, verse 6 to 17. Let no man therefore judge you in meat, or in drink, or in respect of an holiday, or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ. So, if God gives you a blessing, let no one rob you by it, by any man-made rules or man-made suggestions. Only obey it if it's God.